Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Lead Like a Girl. We are the podcast where we empowering everyday women through our stories, all the good, the bad, and the funny. I'm your host today. I'm Cora Lynn, and I'm here with my lovely, lovely
best friends.
Doesn't it feel good to have a best friend?
Yeah.
Best friends is...
I feel there's some people in my life that I feel like are jealous of our relationship, which is like a good jealous. Like I wish I had that. Like not maybe envious, maybe.
Yeah.
They wish. But
yes. I have an episode that I'm going to share with you guys after we get off this. Lady Meredith did a sermon, and it is beautiful. One of the things that she talked about is how it's so difficult for women to have relationships where it's not based on jealousy or envy, but more uplifting each other. So that's what
That's great.
I love that.
Well, guys, if you are anything, and listeners, if you guys are anything like us, you are a woman. Sometimes men are listening to this, but you're juggling career. Yep, they're listening. You're juggling a career, your relationship. You're trying to be a good parent, maybe volunteer, find some rest, and it is busy. We've got 1,000 different calendars, and we all feel pressure to do it all really well and really fast. And so we are talking today about something that might actually give you some grace and maybe change your life a little bit. So I read a book, which is like ding, ding,
there
ding.
You go, doing that reading again.
Yeah, like I read a book, period.
And
I'm really more of an audible, but here's the thing. Like, this is where this came up. We're talking about a book that's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And the reason that I want to talk about this is, one, I would say, if I'm being very transparent, over the last year or so, there have been some significant issues in my personal life that with my son was having some hard times at school. My mom was needing to talk. And if I'm being really transparent, I missed it. I have been so busy over the last year with trying to make all the things work that I missed that my son was having problems. I was missing the fact that some people in my life needed some conversation because I've just been so hurried and trying to get all the things done. And this is not a lie, 3 people, as I'm talking about just different things, say, hey, I just read this book. You should maybe read it. 3 people from 3 different, completely different circles suggested that I should read this book based in our conversation. So
all the same
I bought it.
Okay.
You're like, I think you should read this book.
I know, right? Is this like a divine, like, Corlin, read the book? But so, and when I'm on vacation, I am not a sit by the pool and read. I feel like, man, I'm in a new country. I'm in a new place. I want to soak up everything. But I was very intentional when we were on vacation a couple weeks ago. And I sat by the pool and I read this book, and I kid you not, I paged through this book and I've highlighted at least half the book. There's just so many great nuggets. And so I wanted to bring some of this conversation and some of this learning and idea for the 3 of us specifically, but our larger listeners too. And I think at the end of the day, I would say my biggest takeaway is I came away with some grace and just the idea that it is okay not to be 100% efficient every day, all the time. Rest is so important. And if you can't find rest, your life is going to be really difficult. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is that when we hurry up and when we're trying to do more, it actually is, we end up doing less and we're less impactful. So Yeah, I feel like this episode is for every woman that you ask them how you're doing and what do they say? Like,
Oh my God, it's crazy.
I'm so busy.
I'm so busy. Like it is everybody's answer. And I've said this on a couple other episodes. Like I have just mentally decided when somebody asks me how I am, I cannot say busy. Pick a different word. I don't care maybe it equals busy. Like go through your thesaurus and pick something else, but you cannot say busy.
No, mine is not busy. Yeah. It's crazy. Maybe I'd take it to the whole.
Which implies though that things are like happening at a really fast pace, right? And so today we're gonna have some grace and we're gonna slow down on purpose. So to kick this off, I want you guys to talk a little bit about how do you feel when you sit down? Like when you sit down and I don't want to say I have nothing to do because we always have something to do, so that can't be your answer. But when you just sit down with your thoughts, take a break, take a rest, how do you feel?
Unproductive, lazy,
anxious.
Anxious. I was going to say in the wintertime or if it's raining outside and I can't go do things outside, for example, it's like an excuse. And I'm like, I can't go do that. So now I have to sit here on the sofa or you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can't do that. So I get to just sit here and read this book or whatever. It's like you kind of, it's like you can escape a little bit and you have an excuse to just not do something for a second.
Oh my gosh.
What if like your washing machine is broken or something? It's like, I can't do laundry today.
Oh no.
Jessica's hauling herself to the laundromat. We already heard that.
Right. I've done that. But I will pay more to get one, shipped faster.
So the part 2 of this question is, where did you learn that? Where did that come into your life? Think back.
Mark Mignani.
Who taught you that? Who taught all of us that?
The company. I was programmed. That's what I'm going to say. Well, you know what? It probably also started in childhood because my mom is a busybody. She just never sits still. That's kind of just who she is. And I watched her. I mean, she was a high functioning alcoholic growing up. Like you would have never known. Like the house was clean, the kids were like, everything was just perfect. And so she just was always on the go. And as a little girl, that's just what I viewed as like a good mom, or that's what a mom is supposed to do. And if you're not doing that, then you're just lazy or whatever. And so that's probably where it started for me. Mm-hmm. And then going into my professional life, it was always just go, go, go. And then at some point, especially being in sales, go, go, go equals money, equals success. And all of these things just, I think, where the programming happened, that if you're not always doing something, you're missing out on an opportunity to be successful or to make money and provide for your family and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. And maybe that's the trap. Maybe that's a light bulb here, that the trap is starting our careers off in commission sales, where legit, if you took a day off work equaled you weren't getting paid.
Yeah. Yep.
Period.
Yeah. Well, and or we're sick. Like you just weren't sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like that thing does not even
that's
exist.
Just every
just,
time
you
it's
just
a frame of mind. Yeah,
like you just weren't.
I wasn't sick for 12 years. Weird.
I know. I remember like essentially like my first sick day when I had strep throat. I was legitimately sick. And I it was my first one. And I was probably like 30, 35, 33 years old maybe. And I was like, what the heck? I'm just home. Yeah. I'm just here on the sofa sick. What people do this?
Right.
You just stayed home.
Oh my gosh. I'm listening to us and I'm getting 1, a little angry, 2, a little embarrassed, and 3, like what the heck, ladies? I don't know. There's a whole lots of emotion in there. Yeah. So okay, so the first section of this book is talking about the problem, and we're talking personally about our problem is that we have this unrealistic expectation that we always need to stay doing something. Downtime is a waste, and so that's part of the problem. The other really significant problem that he talks about is the way that our life is moving, and just not our lives specifically, but people in general, is that our lives are filled with distraction, that we have social media, are constantly can read something, watch something, learn something, talk to somebody, that there's people always around us. There's always entertainment. And he talks about that it's addictive. The way that it shows up for me is that I feel this unrealistic need to always have information. I think that I sit and read, like I want to read the news and I want to know what's happening. And I feel like if I don't stay connected with what's happening in all the different things, that I'm missing, like a strong fear of FOMO, right?
Yeah.
Distractions. Talk to me about that.
I just had a quick question for you because I was thinking about just my workday and sitting here at my desk. Like I have 4 monitors. I sit at a desk with 4 monitors in front of my face all day, when I'm working from home. So, and I travel. So there's
I'm
that.
gonna have to
you know
ask
what I mean?
about that setup because I thought you could only do 3. I only got 3. Anyway, go
I
ahead.
have 2
So,
laptops.
competition monitors.
I know. It's insane. It's
Ladies.
insane. I know. It's insane. I'm just thinking about like just kind of life in general and that distraction. But have you in your life, have you ever only had one job? And when I think of one job, being a mother, being a wife, or a significant other,
No.
having a household, have you ever in your life or just like, I'm thinking about going to school and also having a job, or
Right.
having 2 jobs or 3 jobs, or you're a mom and you have a job, or you're going to school and you have a job and you're a mom and you have a household.
And you
In your
and
life,
you have a
have you-
podcast.
And you have a podcast. I was thinking about even just in high school, I had more than one job and sports and school. Have you ever think about your life? Have you guys ever just had one thing going on?
No. The answer is no, but I'm going to go back to, for me, Corlin's question, which was, what was it?
Distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, that answers that, right? There's all those things in the distraction. Oh, for me, it's not information. So it's not reading something like, as a matter of fact, when I think of all of that stuff, news and that, I think of that as a waste of time. Why would I waste my time, getting information about something that I can't control? So for me, it's always like there's someone out there that needs something. There's someone, I'll post something on LinkedIn and next thing I know, I got someone in my inbox and that's what keeps me. And sometimes I ask myself, like, I think I'm secure, but do I think that that is what makes me me? Right? Like, do I need that? Do I long for that? Because when I see that someone is, oh my God, you posted this and you were speaking to me, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, you sent me that person. And when that person may not come one day, I'm looking, I'm like, there's got to be someone out here that needs something because I'm just sitting here and it's been 5 minutes. What am I doing? I'm wasting time. It's this race because I feel like tomorrow it's going to be, I'm taking my last breath. I don't know why. I always feel like death between now and then is like, so there's not a lot of time. And I want to make sure that I do all that I'm supposed to do before I get there. And it's like, you wasted 75 hours per week doing nothing, sister. What were you doing? That's my thing.
That is probably something that we should unpack. I feel like maybe not specifically on this episode or online, but
You sound like my therapist.
We should unpack
but I don't think that is a unique feeling to you, Jess. We all have our things that we long for and fill our time with, that if we're not doing something actively, then we view it as a waste. Yeah. And so I'm just going to read you this. This is something I highlighted in the book and I wrote down in my notebook. But here's the thing, is that he says, what you give your attention to is the person that you become. So whatever you're highly focused on is who you are becoming, and whether that's good or bad. But then also later down, he says, there's a danger that we are going to mislive. Despite all the activity, that you will end up living a sad life, that you wasted your chance at living because you're distracted by all these things that don't matter. And I don't think that really applies to what you occupy your time with, Jess. But I find myself, like, when I'm scrolling through doomsday news or spending too much time on social media or preoccupied with things that aren't life-giving, then that's where I feel like that there's waste happening, and how can we use our time in a better way?
Yeah.
I was thinking about our vacation that we just went on. So this is the first vacation I've ever taken in my entire life where I didn't take my work phone with me. Ever. And one of the reasons for that was because my last 2 positions, my cell phone, my personal cell phone, was my work phone.
Mhm.
So I kind of like had to bring it, right? So it's my personal cell phone is my work phone. So I could not separate myself from work for like 20 years. I couldn't. And actually, even with the company that we work for, our cell phones, we use our cell phones. So I couldn't ever separate work from personal ever. So I've never went on a vacation and not had access to work. And this time I didn't. So I couldn't look at my work phone. And so I actually was able to separate that. And it's kind of sad because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like 49 years old and this is the first vacation I've taken without my, my work phone.
Yeah.
But when you talk about that distraction and you talk about not being able to take a break from that distraction, I mean, that is a thing right there. Just being consistently distracted by having access to work and having access to those emails. And even today, I took today off for a specific reason, but I'm sitting here in my office right now and my phone is right next to me and I can see it lighting up. So it's just like, it's right there. I want to look at it. You know what I mean? It is so hard to not be distracted by that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because as I have some away from work time, downtime, whatever you want to call it, one of the things that I did was really take some time to reflect on, what do I want to change in this next season of work? And that was one of the things that I wrote down in my journal, which has been something that I have found to be really helpful. Years ago, I found journaling to be very helpful for me, and I've gotten back into it in this last few months. And that was like the number one thing, is to keep, I too have never had a work phone. I have a work phone, but that thing has been in the drawer for years. But this next season, I'm going to have a work phone, and I'm going to make sure that I have that separation between my personal phone and my work phone. So
I think we maybe have talked about this in one of the other episodes of putting our work phone and our personal phone like on our nightstand. Didn't we talk about that maybe in another one? Yeah.
and I
Is
didn't
it
do
right
it.
next to you? Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm going to get a new phone number at some point here, and it'll give me an opportunity to, and so I've taken some time to reflect on some things that I want to do differently as I get into this new season.
So there's hope for us, one. And two, one of the things I love about this book is that he offers some really good action steps that we can take to bring less hurry into our life. And one of the big things he spends a lot of time talking about is silence, solitude, and Sabbath. Like that is it, and it's all revolving around rest, but real intentional rest. And I was talking with my coach yesterday, and we we're talking about this idea, and he was asking me, so what are you doing for your silence and solitude time? And I was telling him that I'm listening to the Bible app, and I'm listening to like making time specifically every morning to listen to a new chapter every week. I do this guided prayer time that's also on the Bible app. And I also, when I'm going on walks, I've listened to a little, like a devotion. He looks at me and he smiles, and I'm like, what? And he said, Corlin, silence and solitude equals silence and solitude.
You had me because I was with you.
I thought I was going to get a gold star. And he said, I know, right? And I just looked at him, and I got mad because he was judging my time, right? But it's true. But it's true. And it's so hard, because even when I'm trying to have silence and solitude, I'm still filling my life with noise.
Yeah.
And somebody else's thing. And he said, I let you go last week to figure it out, and now I'm just going to tell you what to do. And he said that you need to set a timer on your phone, 20 minutes. If you're going to walk, you're going to drive, you're going to sit. Sitting is the goal, but he's like, we'll start baby steps, Corlin. But go on your walk, but set your timer for 20 minutes and just be quiet. Your mind is going to race. You're going to start thinking of stuff to do, but bring yourself back and just sit and quiet. And oh my goodness.
Well, you just gave me something, because even when I walk, I bring my phone and someone always calls me.
Yeah.
So I need to leave my freaking phone at home when I walk.
Yeah. I mean, some of those things is that if we are going to intentionally try to add rest to our time, being the people that we are, and I know a lot of our listeners resonate with this, that you have to be intentional with your times of peace and grace, and give yourself the permission to say that it's okay for me not to do something for 20 minutes.
Put it on your calendar. Remember, I said I used to put my walks on my calendar, and unfortunately, we are so faithful to that calendar. I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had a meeting on your calendar and you just not show up because you were too busy doing something else? Hell no. Matter of fact, we're the first one in the meeting. We're not late to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it put that on your calendar. Now, I will say, you're also making me think about when I get really like, it's bad, like I want to bust windows and flip tables, I will go. I have a walk-in closet. It's not gigantic, but it's big enough for me to sit my butt on my little step stool in the dark and just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
But why do I have to wait until I feel like busting every window in the house out to get there?
Is that your own little rubber room?
That's
your rubber room.
Inside joke. Yes, that is my.
No, that was 2 episodes joke.
About that.
Episode 51.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's I lead like a girl family here. Yes. So, but you're making me think that, maybe I need to put on my calendar rubber room time, and that means
something different, maybe, but we can start there.
And just go and sit in my closet. And I like the fact that you said 20 minutes, right? Because when we think of 30 minutes, somehow that seems like a long time. It's like
a full half hour.
That's a whole meeting. What are we doing here? So, right. And for nothing. Right. So I like that. Man. I was sharing with a friend I was talking to yesterday that I am never going to put a label, and I encourage other people to not put a label on yourself and say, I suffer from anxiety.
Oh, I saw that.
No, I'm not doing that. However, have I experienced anxiety? Absolutely. I'm not going to say it's not real. And so in the recent months, I've experienced it more than I have ever in my life. And what I have found that works for me is I have to go somewhere alone and breathe. And so I have found breathing to really help me through those moments, because I was asking ChatGPT, I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, I'm not about to call 911. And then I was like, oh, I'm having an anxiety attack. Okay. And thankful to ChatGPT that, she recommended these things, and I have found the breathing to really, really help me. Now, usually it's like 5 minutes and I'm like, okay, I got to go now, get the clothes out of the dryer. But yeah, so that's an area that has helped me in those moments. But again, I want to start being more proactive than reactive. Why not just sit and breathe before the feeling of anxiousness comes over me?
Yeah. And like you said, it's going to take intention, but we need to slow down to be better. And that is counterintuitive to everything that we've learned. So there's a lot of untraining and retraining of our mind. Here's the other thing that he says is the other point is simplicity in our life. And there's the whole chapter just speaks to me because I like order and I like things in. But okay, so listen to this. He says, really point blank, just get rid of crap you don't need. And he said, everything that you buy costs you. And it's not just money, it costs you time. Because everything that we purchase, all the impulse stuff that we buy, all the stuff we have lingering around our house equals work. You had to work to get that. And then this is the thing that I just spoke to me. He said, what if you only had what you needed and there wasn't anything to organize? And he talks about this whole idea of if we pay for storage to keep all our stuff in. But what if you just downsized your house into the things that you had so you didn't feel compelled to go out and organize the garage every spring, or you had to organize your bookshelf or do all the things where you think of and picture your house where you can find clutter, and we all have it in our closet. But what if you only operated on the things that you need? And in the book, he talks about that he actually downsized his entire closet to 5 things. And this is a dude. He wears the same every Monday. He wears the same clothes. Tuesday wears the same thing. He's like, so if we have a Monday meeting, I'm wearing the same thing every Monday because that's my Monday clothes. But I feel like it's a little extreme, but I can think of several areas in our life where we just have lots of stuff that it's just hanging around. And I think of like, well, we might use that. We might need that sometime. So I want to keep it. But what if you never needed the thing, or when you needed the thing, we just go out and buy the thing when we need it and we just let it go?
Yeah. Or I'm always like, I want to keep that in case someone else needs it. But you know where my mind went?
What is it? Your 27 dresses in your garage?
Hey, I've given some of those away actually to girls that needed them for prom, by the way. But my mind did not go to my purses and shoes when you said that, by the way. My mind went to if I didn't have a million pillows on my sofa, every day I come down the stairs and it just makes me so angry when I see all of my pillows just thrown. I'm like, what? People just get up and fix the pillows before they set their asses down on the sofa. It makes me so angry. And I go down there and I fix them. And so when you were saying that, the first thing I thought is, if I never bought the pillows, could I save myself pain and agony? It's usually every day when I walk down the stairs that I go through that process every morning. I don't want to feel angry over some pillows. So that's where my mind went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually purge like twice a year. Like I just go through all of my closets. I go through and you guys know, like I don't keep things. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that whole concept.
Jamie's owning the simplicity.
I don't keep things.
You always have.
I'm like, I don't like stuff. I just don't. So I do. And I feel good. It makes you feel good. It really does.
Okay. This last thing that he suggests is slowing down, right? So it's silence, solitude, Sabbath is one, simplicity. And then the last thing is just slowing down. And he makes this really good point. Is just when we slow our bodies down, our life slows down. And it's a very physical intention that produces a spiritual or a mental gain. And so he says, and I quadruple exclamation point this, he said, if we can slow down both the pace at which we think and the pace at which we move our bodies through the world, maybe we too can slow down our souls to a pace at which they can taste and see that the Lord is good, and that in this life, his world is good too.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't want to go back, but I want to go back. My experience, I want to know if you guys have had an experience. So my experience with a Sabbath, and listen, whatever your belief system is, I'm sure you can find something where this aligns, but I'm going to share mine. And that is, for years, I didn't understand it. I'm like, there is just no way. It doesn't make sense to me to waste a day. And maybe it was a sermon, maybe it was something I read, but it really hit me hard that this is truly an important area for God. And this is dishonoring God by not doing it. And I had this whole, for lack of better, no pun intended, come to Jesus meeting about this with myself, which is, so for years, I struggled with it and I finally got on board and I had a Sabbath. And it was, and it doesn't have to be a Sunday, but mine was a Sunday. And when I say I did nothing, there was no cooking, there was no, all the stuff, I did nothing. And for me, it was like, you're doing this to honor God, and not doing it is dishonoring God. That's the only thing that got me to being able to do it. And I don't know when this went away, but I lost it somewhere. I really did. So I was just curious, have you ever had an experience with a Sabbath, and what was it, and do you do it?
No, but I'm going to. Here's what I would say about this is what the realization that I have, and why I read that first quote about this fear that I have of living, I don't want to say a bad life, because I feel like our lives are good, but I found myself being so busy that I would get frustrated in little things, and I wasn't making time for the things that matter most. And when I think about specifically the Sabbath time, is really intentionally making time for my family and doing things together and not feeling like, okay, well, we can play football, but I also want to do the garden, and I also need to like check my email. Right? It's just kind of this, we can do this, but it's tied to something that I have to do something really productive also to kind of weigh out the downtime.
Right.
And that's psychologically just saying, no, like having a whole day of rest it's hard, but it has to be so good for us to be able to do those things. Because the other thing that I fear is like, I don't want to get to 70, 80 years old and look back and feel like I missed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I do feel though that if you don't take the time to rest, for example, and maybe this, I think there's a quote probably along these lines, but like, and I think it has more to do with health, but like it's something along the lines of like, if you don't take care of your health, it's going to come out somewhere. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't take the time to rest, something's going to happen and you're going to have to rest.
Right.
And I think about like last summer, guess what happened? It came out, and all summer long, my mom had to take care of her health. You know what I mean? So I just think that takes place a lot with that rest. If you don't take the time, then something's going to happen and you're going to have to rest. You're going to have to.
Yeah. Have you been able to do that,
you know
Jamie?
I mean?
Have you been able to take one day consistently every week and do nothing?
I wouldn't say that, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it. And, you know, within the last year or so, there were some things that I always committed to doing, some coaching and some other things that I committed to doing that I took a break from. And I didn't like doing that. I didn't want to take a break from it, but I kind of had to. And it made me feel like, okay, I did feel like I took a rest. I did feel like I was like, this is okay for me. Yeah. I'm sad. I miss coaching the girls and things like that. But in the end, I think it has a lot to do with what this book is about, where it's like, okay, I'm not so rushed. I'm not hurrying so much. I'm taking a little bit more time. And I was thinking too, there was a point in my life, as you guys know, where I had a couple of jobs at the same time. And I felt like I was very, very busy, but I don't think I was very efficient at all of the things.
Yeah.
So when I took that away and then lessened all the things that I was doing, I became much more efficient, you know, and I think it's exactly what the book is talking about. But I do feel, you know, if you don't take the time, or if you don't take a break, or you don't let yourself rest, something's going to happen and you're going to have to rest, you know, whether that means you're going to get sick, or whether that means, you know, something happens, like you said, Corlin, where you all of a sudden realize, oh shoot, I missed that. Like this, you know, I missed that whole thing, and you don't want to miss it again.
Right.
So getting better. It's always a work in progress, you know, and stuff like this, and learning about this, and reading a book like that are all, and holding each other accountable and things like this, and having best friends that hold each other accountable are all things like help us get better. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I don't know about you guys, but I am literally your number one fan. I am so thankful for this podcast because one, I don't listen to any other podcast. Well, actually, I don't listen to this one, but
don't tell our listeners.
You should.
That.
It's really good, Jessica.
No, glad that I'm here live in action, because this has
you get it
helped
first
me.
person, so
Absolutely, and it has really helped me grow, be intentional, talk through these things. And so for our listeners, I really hope you guys are sharing this, because this is some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Corlin. This is a great topic.
So, practical tips. What are our top takeaways from this conversation? These things. What can our listeners do today to help them feel less hurried?
Slow down, be intentional, make these things a priority, put them on your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say, just my takeaway is the physical separation. You know, physical separation of leaving that work phone somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The physical separation of like taking a walk without any distraction, no sound, maybe no other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the dog.
Maybe the dog. But yeah, just that, you know, forcing that the physical separation of having the distraction. I think that made a lot of sense to me. I think that would be for my takeaway, that'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
Silence,
Corlin.
I know. And it's hard. I tried it yesterday, and my mind was, I found myself probably 20 minutes, at least 7 times thinking about, oh, I should cook that.
Mm-hmm.
I should build this thing. Oh, and I'm like, okay, back, centered, and it's going to take some practice, but but no scrolling, no planning, just being there with your thoughts. And my coach had said sometimes it's going to be hard because, you're going to find that you're going to start processing things. And sometimes what he recommends is that if there's a thought that you just can't let go, get out your phone, make a note, send yourself a text, and so you can release it from thinking about it. Like, I'm going to catch that later and come back to it at a later time. But so you can continue just be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And my huge takeaway in all of this, we have to give ourselves permission to do these things. You can't tie rest with laziness, and you can't tie rest with feeling guilty. You're not performing, we're not being efficient, because in the slowness and the stillness of our life is when we really can be the most impactful. As like you said, Jamie, like you just felt like you were so busy, and we end up being way less efficient. And so give yourself permission to do these things, and you're going to be,
and that's where the real commission comes in.
Correct. Yeah, correct. It's in all the things we want to focus our life on, all the things that really matter. So guys, leading like a girl, we're going to wrap it up. It doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means choosing presence over performance in a lot of areas of our life. And so like we're telling our stories, it's all the good, the bad, and the funny, and letting those stories empower somebody else too. So if any part of this resonated with you, please like our podcast, share us, get on our website, comment. We'd love to have some interactions about how you feel hurried, how you unhurry your life. We love that. So your challenge this week is ruthlessly eliminate one part of your life that causes you anxiousness, where you feel hurried. Create space for breath and rest. And let's keep leading like a girl. Keep leading, keep laughing, and letting go of the hustle. We'll see you next week.
Bye.